nasty person. Two words from Trump's mouth that just ignited the biggest royal drama in decades. Right now, as you watch this, Donald Trump is sitting beside King Charles at a golden table worth more than most people's houses. Meanwhile, London's Mayor Sadiq Khan is fuming outside, completely shut out of the power circle. But here's what nobody saw coming. And if you want the full story behind this explosive confrontation, hit subscribe, because what I'm about to show you goes deeper than anyone imagined. The moment Trump's Air Force One touches down at Heathrow, you can feel the electricity in the air. Reporters swarm, cameras flash, security cordons stretch for miles. This isn't just any state visit. This is political theatre at its finest. First question from the press pack. Mr. President, what about your relationship with London's mayor? Trump doesn't miss a beat. Ice-cold delivery. Sadiq Khan is a nasty person who's done a terrible job running London. The words hit like lightning. Social media explodes within minutes. Number Nasty Khan starts trending globally. News anchors scramble to fill airtime. But while everyone focuses on the insult itself, they're completely missing the real story unfolding behind palace doors. Khan's response is predictable. Within hours, he's on every major news network. BBC, Sky, CNN, International. The message is always the same. Trump is divisive, dangerous, and represents everything wrong with modern politics. Khan positions himself as the defender of London's values, the voice of tolerance and diversity. London remains open, Khan declares from City Hall, his voice carrying that familiar mix of moral authority and wounded pride. We welcome Americans fleeing the divisiveness of Trump's politics. Our city thrives because of our diversity and rule of law. It sounds noble. It sounds principled. But here's the brutal reality check. While Khan's doing his media tour, London's streets tell a very different story. Knife crime statistics just released show a 5-year high. 17 teenagers stabbed to death in the past 6 months alone. Transport strikes are crippling the underground system, forcing millions to find alternative routes to work. Housing costs have reached the point where even middle-class families are being pushed out of zones they've called home for generations. Walk through Borough Market on a Saturday morning. Talk to the shopkeepers. 3 break-ins this month alone. Police response time, over an hour. But Khan's office, they're tracking Trump's tweets. So when the President of the United States calls London's mayor nasty, something interesting happens. Instead of the expected outrage, many Londoners find themselves quietly nodding. Not because they love Trump, but because they recognise the truth in his words. This is where the story gets really interesting, because while Khan's fighting his Twitter battles, Trump gets the full royal treatment that even seasoned diplomats rarely see. Picture this scene. Windsor Castle at golden hour. The oldest occupied castle in the world, home to nearly 1,000 years of British history. Horse-drawn carriages roll across cobblestones that have welcomed everyone, from Napoleon's enemies to Churchill's allies. And there, stepping out in perfect formation, is Donald Trump. Not as a controversial figure, not as a divisive politician, but as the honoured guest of His Majesty King Charles III. The optics are absolutely brutal for Khan. While he's in television studios defending his record, Trump is literally dining with kings. While Khan's approval ratings plummet to historic lows, Trump's motorcade is escorted by the household cavalry in full ceremonial dress. But this visual contrast reveals something much deeper about how power really works in 2024. King Charles, bound by centuries of constitutional tradition, can't openly criticise elected officials. But body language speaks louder than words. Watch the footage of the state banquet. Charles is relaxed, engaged, almost cheerful as he hosts Trump. Compare that to the stiff, formal handshakes we typically see with domestic politicians. Palace insiders, speaking on condition of anonymity, reveal that Charles was genuinely impressed by Trump's directness. No diplomatic doublespeak, no carefully crafted talking points, just straight talk about trade, security, and the future of the Atlantic Alliance. The king appreciates candor, one senior courtier explains. After years of dealing with politicians who say one thing in public and another in private, Trump's consistency is almost refreshing. Meanwhile, Khan's team is in full crisis mode. Internal polling shows his approval rating among Londoners has crashed to just 31%, the lowest since he took office. Even Labour MPs are quietly distancing themselves, worried that association with Khan could hurt them in upcoming elections. The royal banquet itself tells the complete story. Trump and Charles discussing trade deals worth hundreds of billions, defence cooperation, cultural exchanges, real, substantive policy that affects millions of lives. Khan's invitation to this dinner? It never came. He wasn't even considered important enough to include in the official reception line. This isn't just protocol. This is a clear message about who Britain considers its serious partners on the world stage. American businesses are already responding to these signals. Tech companies that were considering major London expansions. Their executives are calling Trump's trade representatives directly, bypassing City Hall entirely. The message is crystal clear. If you want to do business with Britain, you talk to people who actually matter. Goldman Sachs just moved a $2 billion infrastructure project from London consultation to direct government negotiation. JP Morgan's European headquarters expansion, now being discussed at embassy level, not municipal level. Khan keeps trying to spin this as a moral victory. He posts photos of diverse London crowds, celebrates the city's openness and tolerance. But tolerance doesn't fix broken transport systems. Diversity doesn't reduce knife crime. Moral posturing doesn't bring down housing costs. And voters are starting to notice the gap between Khan's rhetoric and London's reality. Here's what's really happening in the power corridors of Westminster. Senior Conservative MPs, speaking privately, admit they're embarrassed by the contrast. Trump commands respect on the global stage. Khan can barely command respect in his own city. It's humiliating, one cabinet minister confides. The mayor of our capital city is seen as a joke by world leaders. Meanwhile, they treat Trump like visiting royalty. The royal family clearly knows which way the wind is blowing. They gave Trump the full ceremonial treatment because that's exactly what protocol demands for the leader of Britain's most important ally. But more than that, they recognise political reality. Trump represents power. Khan represents what exactly? A city struggling with basic governance while its mayor focuses on international virtue signalling. Even the protests tell this story. As Trump's motorcade rolls through central London, demonstrators fill the streets. But listen carefully to what they're chanting. Yes, some anti-Trump slogans, but louder, more passionate cries. Khan out! Fix our city! Stop the crime! The anger isn't really about America. It's about Britain's own political failures. Khan has become the perfect symbol of everything wrong with modern progressive politics. All talk, no results. More concerned with global image than local problems. Youth unemployment in London's poorest boroughs, up 23% under Khan's watch. Business relocations out of central London, up 34%. Tourist complaints about safety and cleanliness, up 45%. But Khan's Twitter engagement, that's up too. Apparently, that's what passes for political success these days. Trump's team, meanwhile, is playing a masterful long game. Every photo opportunity reinforces the same message. Serious leaders work with serious people. The president doesn't waste time arguing with local politicians who can't even manage their own cities. Watch Trump's body language during the royal events. He's relaxed, confident, clearly enjoying himself. This isn't a man worried about what Sadiq Khan thinks. This is a global leader conducting business with his equals. The economic implications are already becoming clear. British pension funds are increasing their American investments. London-based hedge funds are opening New York offices. Even traditionally, Europe-focused British companies are pivoting toward transatlantic partnerships. Why? Because markets follow power, and right now power flows through Washington and Windsor, not through City Hall. Khan's attempts to position himself as Trump's equal are getting more desperate by the day. Press releases comparing London to New York, social media posts highlighting American companies with London offices, international speaking engagements where he presents himself as a global progressive leader. But nobody's buying it anymore. You can't claim to represent a world-class city when that city can't guarantee basic public safety. You can't lecture about values when your own constituents are fleeing to safer, more affordable places. The royal connection makes this even more powerful. King Charles represents continuity, tradition, and institutional strength. Everything Khan's progressive politics claims to be moving beyond. Yet there's Charles hosting Trump with genuine warmth while Khan remains conspicuously absent from every significant diplomatic event. This tells us something profound about British politics in 2024. The monarchy, supposedly outdated and irrelevant, commands more respect than elected officials. Traditional institutions work better than progressive experiments. Quiet competence beats loud activism. As Trump's plane prepares for departure, he leaves behind a completely transformed political landscape. Khan looks smaller and more irrelevant than ever. Parliament looks out of touch with both international reality and domestic concerns. And the monarchy? They look like the only British institution that actually understands how power works in the modern world. The question isn't whether Trump was right to call Khan nasty. The question is why it took an American president to say what millions of Britons were already thinking. Why our own political class refuses to acknowledge what everyone else can see clearly. This isn't just about one mayor or one insult. This is about the complete failure of progressive politics to deliver real results for real people. It's about the growing gap between political rhetoric and lived reality. It's about power flowing away from elected officials who think Twitter battles matter more than actual governance. What do you think? Was Trump right about Khan? And what does this say about the future of British politics? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments below. And if this analysis opened your eyes to what's really happening behind the diplomatic headlines, smash that subscribe button, because this story reveals something much bigger about how power really works in 2024. Trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next.